So this is text 27 of the 9th chapter. This is also a famous verse that Prabhupada spoke about many times in his talks. Yat karoshi yadashnasi
Yaktoshi yadashnati
yat juhoshi dadasiyat
yajuhoshi dadasi yat
yat tapasyasi kunteya
yat tapasyasi konteya
tat karushva madarpanam.
tat kushro madapanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerity you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me.
So this is Krishna speaking to Arjuna, of course. And Arjuna's mother's name is Kunti. So, O son of Kunti, speaking to Arjuna. There. So Krishna's really desperately wanting to reunite with us. He loves us so much, and we can pick it up with verses like this. How desperate Krishna is to reestablish a loving relationship with us. You say, please give me something. And like I mentioned last time, you wouldn't normally say that, right? Bhakti Mala, Gulshan, please give me something, and then we can start a relationship. But Krishna's, you're happy, of course, someone gives something to you, but you normally don't ask. You don't normally ask, can you give me something? But
Well,
yeah,
it depends. If somebody eating jalebi in front of me, I think I put my ego aside and I ask.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But Krishna's not like that in the sense that he's like hungry for food, like I said. But he is hungry
Hungry for
for
love and
that
devotion.
love, that he loves us. We're like his children, and we've left home, and he's sad that we're suffering away from home. So he wants us to come back home. In one sense, I mean, he's got, unlimited souls that do love him, but still, I mean, I've been reading in a book called the Brihat Bhagavatamrita by Sanatana Goswami, and Shiny's been reading that too. So I'm surprised she said that after reading the section I showed her, because in that section, this one soul, and his name is Gopakumar. So he was actually born at Govardhan in Vrindavan in India, born there, and he had a strong desire to find the ultimate place. So he slowly makes his way out beyond the earth. He gets a mantra. Has a guru in Vrindavan, gives him this mantra, this special mantra that can just take him to wherever he's thinking about. So he goes to Indra, and then the sun god, and then Brahma and Shiva, and then he even goes into the impersonal Brahman, the Brahmajyoti. Now he's gone into Vaikuntha. And when he first comes in front of Lord Narayan, you wouldn't believe how humble Lord Narayan is. He says to this Gopakumar, I'm so fortunate to see you today. Can't believe it. It's like we should be the other way around, that we're fortunate to see Lord Narayan. But Lord Narayan's saying, I'm so fortunate today to be able to see you after so many lifetimes after you've left the spiritual world, and now I'm seeing you again. I'm so fortunate to see you today, and I've been really missing you and everything like that. Oh, it's just so touching reading about how the Lord is so ecstatic to be reunited with his soul, part and parcel, that's been away and suffering in the material for so many countless lifetimes. The Lord is in ecstasy and so keen to reunite with us. You can't believe it. So here Krishna's encouraging us, just start the relationship. That's all you need to do. Just start by giving me something, and then I'll take care of everything. That's all we need to do. Like it said, if a soul just chants the name Krishna once, that's enough. Then Krishna is going to, his attention will be directed to that soul that he's heard Hare Krishna come from that soul. He's heard that, and then that attracts his attention, and he's going to make arrangements to bring that soul from the material world back to Godhead, back to the spiritual world. He's so keen. All we have to do is initiate, show a little bit of an interest to know about God or come back to Godhead, and Krishna will just make the arrangements to somehow get us out of the material world. He's so keen. So here, Krishna's encouraging, whatever you eat, whatever you do, whatever you offer, give it to me. Give it to me. Because we give things to a lot of people, but we're not getting much out of it, isn't it? We give to the Blind Foundation, the Cancer Society, to the Salvation Army, to the every Tom, Dick, and Harry, to the politicians, and we do things for our pets and animals and everything like that. And we do a lot of stuff, and we give a lot of stuff away to all different kinds of people, but hardly anyone gives anything to Krishna. But we get so much more benefit if we start to do something, to give something to Krishna rather than just everyone else. And it's not that it's going to be hard for us to do that. We might think, oh, but this is difficult to give something to Krishna. No, because we're already habituated to give things to lots of people. We give things to family members. We do things for family members. We do austerities, for family members. Like, isn't it like, the mum and dad work hard in an office or factory. Why? It's so austere. So many austerities, going in the traffic in Sydney or Auckland or whatever, and dealing with a horrible boss and everything like that, nasty workmates or whatever sometimes, and difficult, work it might be. Why do they do that? Out of love for their children, to maintain the family members. They do so many austerities, or even we want a piece of paper, a certificate, Bachelor of Science, Bachelor of Art, or whatever, and we do severe austerities for 3, 4, 5 years. My daughter is doing a master's in architecture. That's at least 5 years. She's performing severe austerities. She tells me she hardly has any time to do anything else. She's just studying, studying, studying. Sometimes they hardly have time to eat or sleep, especially before exams, severe austerities. But what are they doing it for? Just to get that piece of paper, so then they can go and become a slave to some business, and then make some money out of that, and buy some fish and chips or something. So what are we doing all these austerities for? Just stupid reasons, and giving things away and like that for no real benefit. But if we do the same things, but if we do it for Krishna, we get so much more benefit. Does anyone want to say anything about that? Does that make sense? So what's mentioned here? So whatever you do, so that's one thing, Karoshi. So your actions. So Krishna's asking here, whatever actions you do that for me. And we call that karma yoga, right? So you could call that karma yoga. Karma yoga. Karma means action. So, and if you do your actions for God, then that's called karma yoga. I mean, everyone's doing actions, and we call that karma. But when the yoga comes in, is when you do that karma, do that action, when you do it for God, then we'd add the word yoga to it. So then it's connected with God, it's linked with God. So karma, everyone's doing karma, working. But when you work or act for God, that's called karma yoga. And then whatever you eat. So yeah, whatever you eat, Krishna's saying, give that to me. So do your work for me. And that reminds me, doing your work for me. When when Prabhupada went to America and started up, hardly anyone had a job. They were all hippies, right? They're mostly hippies and they didn't have a job. So it was hard to pay the rent for the temples and stuff. There was one or two or three of the early disciples that actually had a job. One was Brahmananda had a job, and Satsvarupa had a job. You think Mukunda? Or maybe Mukunda Maharaj had a job. So Prabhupada didn't tell them to give up your job. He said, keep doing your job, but just give the money to Krishna. Give the money to Krishna. So, or give the money to the spiritual master. So they gave all the money to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada used it to pay for the rent and, print books and so many things like that. So, so that's devotional service. You do your work, but you give the results to Krishna. Give the results to Krishna. You do it for Krishna's sake. So one was Jayananda. He's the one whose picture's on the Rath cart. So Jayananda, he drove taxis. So he drove the taxis and he didn't keep any money for himself. He gave it all to Krishna. He gave it all to Prabhupada and like that. So that's this principle of whatever you do, do it for me. So drive the taxi for me, work in the restaurant for me, clean for me, cook for me, whatever it is, doing it for Krishna. So a lot of the things you'll see are the same. It might be sometimes difficult to tell who's a devotee, who's a non-devotee, because externally, the way a devotee looks and everything can be almost the same as a non-devotee. Like a non-devotee drives a taxi and a devotee drives a taxi, or a non-devotee works in a restaurant, a devotee works in a restaurant. And externally, it's all the same. But the only difference is that the materialistic person is doing that work for their own, to enjoy the fruits of that work themselves. They want to enjoy the fruits of their labor themselves. Whereas the devotee is doing the same things, but doing it for Krishna's pleasure, not for themselves. And Prabhupada has said, my motto, my whole life was everything for Krishna, nothing for me. Everything for Krishna, nothing for me. So, of course, in the beginning, it might be hard to do that. Everything for Krishna, oh, that's difficult. But at least we start with something. Even like I said, even you chant Hare Krishna once, there's so much benefit in that. And even one time, giving something that just get the ball rolling, start somewhere. And then so in the beginning it might be you do 10% for Krishna and 90% for you, and then 20% for Krishna, 80% for you. And slowly it can, develop like that. Then 50-50, and 60% for Krishna, 40 for you. And eventually it comes to the point where you're doing, everything for Krishna. So
Okay, Prabhu.
yeah.
Why is it when it says whatever you do, why is that karma yoga and not bhakti yoga? Why is that coming?
Well, that's a good question, and it can be bhakti yoga too.
Yeah, okay.
But in the beginning, it might be more karma yoga than bhakti, because bhakti means love, right? So there's a difference between doing the activity with love for Krishna, which is bhakti yoga, and doing the activity and just giving the result to God, you know. Being dutiful, and Prabhupada's going to mention in the beginning, thus it is the duty of everyone to mold his life in such a way like that. So if you just do it as a duty, that, okay, everything belongs to God, I better give everything to God, like that. So I got $500, I'm going to give the $500 to God because it belongs to him. So you're just doing it as a duty. So that's more karma yoga. And you're not necessarily thinking about Krishna while you're doing your work,
Yeah.
but just when you get the pay packet at the end of the week, then you think of him, oh, I better give it to the temple. You know, I better give it to my guru or give it to the temple or whatever. So, but in bhakti, the real bhakti yoga activity is that you're thinking about him also while you're doing the work, and the results are for him too. So everything right from the beginning to the end, you know, like that. So rather than just karma yoga, you're just thinking about it at the end of the process. So you've done all the work and you've thought about whatever, and then just at the end of the week, then you think about them, you know, I'm going to give the result, you know. So, but it's still good to give the result, which is karma yoga. But even better than that is, you know, add that bhakti more, that you're doing it to please him. You're doing the activity to please him. Because normally what it is in karma yoga, that karma yoga means you're not attached to the result of the work, but you are attached to the work. So means you like doing a particular activity, and you'll do that for God. But bhakti yoga also is more that you'll do any kind of activity, whatever God wants, you know, and also give the result to him like that. And I mean, like I really like doing this kind of activity that we're doing now, you know, talking about Krishna. I don't so much like to do gardening and that. I can do it. Don't get me wrong, I can do it, and I was trained to do it. But I'd rather do this than gardening and shooting possums and different things like that. But I do those other things just as a matter of duty, and you know, and it's all for Krishna's pleasure like that. But karma yoga is more that you'll do what you like to do, and you'll do that for Krishna. But bhakti yoga is you'll do whatever Krishna wants, whether you like it or not. You know, like Arjuna, right? I mean, he knows how to fight, but in this particular scenario, he didn't want to fight. So he said, I shall, in the first chapter, he says, I shall not fight. He puts his bow and arrow down. But by the end of the Bhagavad Gita, he says, okay, Krishna, I'm going to fight. Even though I don't want to fight, but you want me to fight, so I'll fight. You know, so that's bhakti. You're not even doing what you want to do. So there's no personal attachment, no personal motivation like that. So that's very pure.
So it's like a scenario when I was cleaning in the bhakti tree, my
Yeah.
standard of cleaning wasn't meeting that a standard of bhakti tree. But and I love to do because it's a Krishna's home. Jagannath is here. But
Yeah.
I've been told, listen, mate, your standard of cleaning doesn't meet that standard of. So that means I should have to stop or keep doing that. I'm confused.
He's talking about me getting angry at him for not cleaning properly.
Yeah, because I'm not quite like you. Come on. You have to
Yeah.
give me some leniency.
Yeah, I mean, we all have a particular nature, right? There's the swabhava, so there's things that we're naturally good at, things that we're, you know, not good at. But and so it's recommended you should generally do what you like to do and what you're good at doing. There's two criteria to what is your swadharma, your nature. What is your nature? How do you know what that is? Prabhupada explained it very simply. Your nature is generally what you like to do and what you're good at doing. So there's two factors. If you like it, but you're not good at it, like what Gulshan was, Gulshan wasn't mentioning that even. He didn't like it. So if you don't like it and you're not good at it, that's definitely not what your nature is. Sometimes you might like something, like I like playing mridanga, but I'm not very good at it, like that. Or you might be good at something. You might be good at something, but you don't like doing it. You know what I'm saying? So it's either you like it and you're not good at it, or you're good at it, but you don't like it. Like I was good at land surveying. I was good at land surveying. My boss was happy with the results, but I didn't like doing it because I'd rather do this, you know, talk about Krishna and Brahminical kind of stuff. And but the real thing is that you like it and you're good at it. And so generally we should try to do those things that we like and we're good at.
Whatever you like it, you definitely will good at it. It's like a failure is not an option. Once you like it, you are merged into that. You don't even know who you are, where you are, and you're doing that. And then
Yeah, I agree
definitely
mostly, but not always, not
not
always.
always. Okay, okay.
But yeah, mostly I agree because if you have an interest in a subject, generally you'll learn
Yeah,
it. You'll
of
learn it if
course,
you have interest.
100%.
Like I
Yes,
have an interest in learning verses, so yeah, I
yeah, and the
become good at it
preaching.
because
Yeah,
I have an
yeah,
interest in that. And
definitely.
maybe I just didn't have enough interest in playing mridanga,
Think
so I
you're
didn't
pretty
become
good
very
at
good at it.
Mridanga?
Oh, it's just okay. Not compared to Ram Tech
Oh, I
Oh,
or
mean,
Chit Rupa
Ram
or
Tech.
something. They're just natural because they're also, see, often your swadharma, your nature, is carrying on from your last life. Like those
yeah,
guys, I bet you from 5 years old, they could play
yeah,
mridanga because they're just,
yeah,
they were already doing it in their past life.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
obviously you didn't get to practice when you were three
yeah.
years
It's
old. So now they've been
my
practicing in a previous life.
My problem is I cannot play the instrument and Mahamantra because it's gonna get mixed and if I'm
Yeah,
in the kirtal, I can't sing Mahamantra. If I sing
yeah,
Mahamantra, I lost the kirtal. It's
yeah,
like I cannot. If I play Mridanga, I can't sing Mahamantra. If I say Mahamantra,
yeah,
Mridanga sound gone. It's just
yeah.
I cannot.
Yeah, better to stick to the Maha Mantra. Yeah. But still, if you do practice, then it may
Not
come
the
a bit
cleaning.
more better. Yeah, but not the cleaning,
The
yeah. But the
Bhakti
thing is with
Mala.
bhakti,
Since
thank
the
you.
Bhakti
The
Mala
thing
says
is,
that I did not pick that any cloth or a spray in Bhakti tree. He's just,
Just
I
wipes
just
everything
went
down
through.
with a dirty cloth.
but the thing is with bhakti is like next level because bhakti is that if Krishna or the Guru ask you to do something, even if you don't like it, and even if you're not good at it, but you have to do
Do
it.
it. Yeah, that's
You
right.
know, and that's love, that, well, duty is the beginning of love.
But
So out
one
of
thing I
duty
learned
and
from Abhay Prabhu, I will mention that Prabhuji, I learned something very good and I spreading everyone in Bhakti tree for the last 6, 7 years since you left. I said to whenever it's too hot, turn the ignition on, or too cold, turn the heater on. You have to see that, make sure the people has to take the jacket off. Okay. And somehow, the bill is quite high in the electricity in the Bhakti tree, but when the temperature is very cold, I can see the people are like that in this jacket and then eating there. I
Mm.
turn the heater on and then take the jackets off. So I tell everyone, make sure everybody has to be take the jacket off. They're not comfortable. So one day that I went there and then the heater wasn't on, and I said to the girl, and she turned the heater on, and the one guy didn't take the jacket off. And she went there, why didn't you take the jacket off? Heater is on. He said, oh, I said, because Abe Prabhu say has to have a jacket off. He said, who's Abe? I said, oh, you don't know. There's a policy there for, we have to follow that. He's the founder of Bhakti Tree, and you have to take a jacket off because the heater's on. He said, oh, okay. So, I follow
Yeah.
you. So it's nothing wrong with that to follow you because you're my Shiksha Guru and then you say something and I believe in that. And then some people doesn't like because they were saying Bhakti tree is in loss. So everybody has to be turn the air condition on or off. I said, look, customer has got nothing to do with the loss and profit. He is struggling in the cold. You have to turn the heater on.
Yeah,
So
definitely. Yeah.
anyway, change the subject.
Actually,
Okay, back to that.
our excellence in the Hare Krishna movement, this is a thing that we should be able to beat any other organization hands down, as in service, our quality of service. Because that is our whole mission, is service, right? That's what bhakti means, service with love. And like I said, this is the bhakti tree, not the business tree.
Yeah,
And that's what makes when the bhakti tree becomes very attractive. If you have that level of service that you
yeah,
can't get it anywhere else, not in Gloria Jeans,
yeah,
not in the
yeah,
mall, not at
yeah,
home. But I'll tell you what,
yeah,
that Prabhupada said to the devotees in the early days, people should feel so much love from the devotees when they come to any ISKCON temple they should think, I don't get this treatment from my own family, what I'm getting here. And he said they should think, I don't want to leave. And I'll tell you, that happened to me. I went to the Hare Krishna temple in Auckland 32 years ago, and the day I went there was the day I didn't leave. I never left because I felt that, what Prabhupada talked about. So that's our duty to create that so much service that we're just so expertly serving, that people don't have any. Prabhupada said, when he was training the managers, he said he told the managers that you should make sure all the devotees in your temple are completely happy and they don't have any anxieties. So then he said they'll work very hard, because that's another thing. If you're happy, then you'll work very hard. And if you don't have any anxieties, you'll work very hard. But yeah, if you're not happy and you've got anxieties and that because your leaders aren't looking after you, then you're just going to do the minimum. And that's what most organizations have, is that all the workforce just does the minimum. Because there's not much love or, from their leadership and that. But we should be so excellent in our quality of service. And I picked that up from Mood from Prabhupada, and I tried to be that myself, what Prabhupada spoke about, what he wanted, to have such a high level of service. And that really struck me when he said that when they come to the temple, they should think that I don't even get this kind of treatment from my own family. I don't want to leave. I thought, wow, that's amazing. Let's do that. So I tried to do that at the farm too. Really look after the guests. So I told all the devotees, we had meetings, and I tell all the devotees, make sure you look after the guests. Get out of your rooms. Don't just sit in your room and on the phone. When they spend time with the guests, show them around the farm, ask them, have you had prasadam? Then give them prasadam, take them into the temple, ask them, how are they doing? Is everything okay? And everything. And I've been reading about Rupa and Sanatan, right? The immediate followers of Lord Chaitanya, two of the six Goswamis. They were living in Vrindavan, right? And it's said that everyone in Vrindavan, all the families, grihastas, everything, they loved Rupa and Sanatan because Rupa and Sanatan were so loving to everyone. They always, when Rupa and Sanatan would see someone, they would say, "Oh, how's your kids doing? Have you got your daughter married yet?" They're like real personal kind of stuff. You just think, "Oh, they're a sannyasi. Why would you ask those kind of questions?" No, but they're just so affectionate, so loving.
That's a really good idea. I can go to the temple and I can see, if I see the good woman. Are you married? Not. No, just kidding. No, just joking.
Yeah, I know.
Because
You're
I
the
really
joker.
care. I
Yeah.
care. It's not like I do care. I'm seriously caring person. If they're not married, I find they're a suitable match for them.
You're Krishna's joker in Vaikuntha, I'm sure about that.
This is my swadharma. It's my
Yeah,
nature.
that's good. You can use that for Krishna. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
You can use that for Krishna.
you know that Narendra's wife, she was my friend. Yeah.
Yes,
Now
yes,
she got
yes.
3 kids. Yeah. And so
Yeah,
another
yeah.
friend as well, his wife as well, she was my friend. So,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is my dharma.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
really feel
Well, I
that's
mean
really
that's
good.
why we put you. That's why we put you at the front of the bhakti tree, because we
Yeah.
see what the person's swadharma is, what their nature
Yeah.
is, and
True.
give them a work according to that. So you're very friendly, nice with people. So and
Yes.
before you, we had Amala there. Amala was also,
Yes.
that was her dharma completely. She's
Yeah.
so, when someone walks in, it looks like a light bulb turns on in her head.
Yeah.
She's just so bright, looking like a little kid. And she was the size of a little kid too. But like so happy to see the person walk in the door. She'd be so happy.
And then
And
she
she's like,
married.
"How
She
are
married with.
you?" Like just like a long
how
lost friend,
how's
It
she
was
doing? Will
great.
you get in touch with her? How is she
What's that?
doing? How's she doing? Are you get in touch with her?
I mean,
Don't know.
We connected. I was connected with her on Facebook until my Facebook page got corrupted, and then I think we got
Okay.
disconnected. But she's
Krishna
connected
Kirtan.
with Jayanti. Yeah, she's got
Okay.
they've got a child now.
Yeah,
They've
yeah, I
they've
know.
got
She
a
got a
child, so the
girl.
child must
Yeah.
be pretty grown up now. And
And the
yeah,
Krishna
I think things
Kirtan.
are working right. So I think they're in
Very well.
Croatia, as far as I know. They're in Croatia.
Sure,
They
sure.
started off, went to Turkey, and then they came back to Croatia and got a house there. And
Beautiful.
yeah, but yeah, that's the thing. So yeah, ideally we work according to our nature, but in some cases, if there's an emergency, see, in normal circumstances, you do, what your nature is. But if there's an emergency, you might have to do something. Like in the Bhakti tree, there wasn't enough staff or whatever. Then you have to clean, even though you're not good at cleaning. So, I mean, like now, I mean, I'm cut out to be more of a Brahmana, but now I'm mostly doing the work of a Vaishya and Kshatriya kind of thing. So, but it's like an emergency because there's hardly anyone in ISKCON that's doing these kind of things, like simple living, high thinking kind of stuff, which is what Prabhupada wanted. So I figured, well, I know how to do this simple living stuff. Let me do that as a service for Prabhupada. Although it's not really what ideally I should be doing. I should just be doing this kind of stuff. But but unfortunately, the emergency has gone on for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, nearly
But
5 years. The
you were the
emergency is
temple
never ending.
commander. You're the president, so you have to the president, he must be in the temple president must be know all the fields, not
Yeah,
only preaching,
yeah.
everything, whether dressing the deities to the kitchen,
Mm,
to cooking or cleaning, everything.
mm,
So that's what you had a quality to do that. But no, it's
mm.
wonderful.
So I thought, why is Krishna doing this to me, making me do all these things? But yeah, there's some reason for it. We don't know, but Krishna's giving us some particular work. But not just the president has to know everything. Prabhupada said a Vaishnava
Yeah.
devotee should know, he said a
Every
Vaishnava should know a little bit about everything and a lot about one thing. That's very intelligent, what Prabhupada said. You should know a little bit about everything and you know a lot about one thing. So it means you have one particular focus, like Gulshan is very good with public relations. So he knows a lot about public relations, how to, hospitality, a lot about hospitality, but you should know a little bit about cleaning, Gulshan. Know a little bit about cleaning, a little bit
you
about
know
cooking, a little bit about playing instruments, a little bit about management, blah, 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 a little bit about finances, but a lot about hospitality. So you focus on one thing and then you do like that,
the song was there, a little bit of Krishna, all I want, 1, 2, 3, and 4, a little bit, that's it. But anyway, it's okay because that devotee, he's everything. Like if he enter into the temple, and if there is a the peacock poo in there, he has to clean, so he become a Shudra. So devotee is everything, Vaishya,
Everything.
Shudra, Brahman,
Yeah.
Kshatriya. So he has
Anything.
to clean before he enters the temple. So it's not
Mm,
like he's saying, "Oh, listen, I'm not a Shudra. Somebody has to clean this before entering the
yeah.
temple." No,
Mm.
yeah. So devotee is above all
Yeah,
these.
devotee means we're the servant of Krishna. So
Yeah,
servant means whatever the master says, you have to do it.
yeah, yeah.
Whether you like it or not, that's not really consideration, whether I like it or I don't like it. But
Yeah.
that you just do
If
whatever the master says.
if the thing is, if the whoever president or manager of Bhakti tree, they will appoint me to the cleaning in charge of Bhakti tree. It's not my fault, that his fault, because he don't know my dharma.
Mm,
If he appoint me, and I'll do it duty, because he's the manager, he asked me to do that. You're the cleaning in
yeah,
charge from the Bhakti tree. I'll
yeah.
do it. Maybe Bhakti Mala won't like it, but tough luck. What can I do? I've been hired to do cleaning.
But yeah, if the leaders are intelligent, then they should engage the
Yeah.
devotees
So
according to their
that's the
nature.
thing. You came to Bhakti, you came to Glory Jeans, and you had a one glance, and you look at it. Yeah, you'd be good for the front. Come stay at my place. I'm going to the farm, and you can
Well,
stay in
I
this.
knew because when you came to the Bhakti tree, you volunteered to serve the
Yeah,
soup.
yeah,
Yeah,
dal.
on Friday night, the
Yeah,
Friday fest. You always volunteered. So I knew, oh,
yeah,
this guy likes dealing with the public,
yeah.
likes, feeding people, dealing with the public. Okay, so I
True.
knew that you're a front runner. You
Yeah,
like,
I'll do it.
friendly, dealing with people and everything. because we didn't have to recruit you. You volunteered.
Yeah. And then
Yes,
after that,
yes,
I'll
yes.
become a, some people, you said that don't charge him $10 upfront. They can pay later, doesn't matter. And then I said, okay, because not whenever enter, I want to say $10 because $10 was a meal and kirtan. And then you said don't charge, but my eyes was there. Some people they just sneak it inside for a kirtan after that having a meal, and they would just walk out. And then I was like, hey, Brett, such and such person didn't give it $10, and then I'm not gonna let him go without paying $10. Couple of them, I just stopped it at the kebab shop all the way there. He said, listen, came in, have a kirtan, and have a meal. What about the $10? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I said, please, can you come and pay? Because that's a stealing. If you steal Krishna's money and Krishna's food, Krishna know how to get back. Honestly, believe me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's one option. You can do that, but actually, in the early days of ISKCON, Prabhupada was just giving everything, giving. There was no charges.
But if somebody come, he say, I don't have a $10, doesn't matter. You can eat, no problem. You can come
Yeah.
second time, no problem. And somebody trying to be sneaking in there, sneak out from my eyes, I'm just get very upset. I said $10.
Yeah. No, you can. You can.
Anyway,
But I guarantee if they keep coming to take prasadam and
yeah,
kirtan, eventually what'll happen, their heart will melt. Eventually
yeah,
their heart
yeah.
will melt and then they'll give. So either
It's
way, whatever way you want to do it, but it is better if someone voluntarily gives rather
yeah.
than you asking them to give. It is
Hmm.
better if they've then they get the credit for giving to Krishna, whereas otherwise you're just sort of taking it from them. It's a little
Yeah.
bit different. It's not quite as good. If you give them at least the first option to give them a chance to give it rather than you ask for it, then that's always better. Then they'll get
I don't know.
more
I'm Krishna's
message.
servant, and then
Mm,
put me there to charge $10, and then I
mm,
charge
mm.
no matter what. Anyway, different timing. There was a time.
Yeah,
Anyway,
but I mean
one month
it is a restaurant kind of thing. So yeah, we do have
yeah,
charges.
they have to pay the
Temple
bills and
they
the
just give. Temple they just give.
different
Yeah.
story. Temple is a
Mm.
different story.
Hey, Bhakti Mala, do you want to read the purport? Just a short purport.
Yeah, sure.
So this one, 27.
Thus, it is the duty of everyone to mold his life in such a way that he will not forget Krishna in any circumstance. Everyone has to work for maintenance of his body and soul together, and Krishna recommends herein that one should work for him. Everyone has to eat something to live, therefore, he should accept the remnants of stuffs offered to Krishna. Any civilized man has to perform some religious ritualistic ceremonies. Therefore, Krishna recommends do it for me, and this is called archana. Is that right?
Yep. Yep.
Everybody has a tendency to give something in charity. Krishna says, give it to me. And this means that all surplus money accumulated should be utilized in furthering the Krishna consciousness movement. Nowadays, people are very much inclined to the meditational process, which is not practical in this age. But if anyone practices meditating on Krishna 24 hours a day by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra round his beads, he is surely the greatest meditator and the greatest yogi, as substantiated by the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita.
But
Mm.
in this line, it says that Hare Krishna mantra around his beads. What happens if somebody is driving or cutting something? Can he Hare Krishna mantra in his head instead of
Definitely.
beads? Because
Yep.
hands
Yep.
are tied up with something.
Sure.
If you work
Sure.
in the
Yep.
factory or
Yep.
making the furniture or
Yeah.
removalist or anything, you can
Yeah.
just chant in the head.
Sure. Yeah. Or you can just sing out loud
Yeah.
while you're
It
driving or
depends.
whatever or doing the work.
But depends where you are. Like, if
Where
you are
you are.
somewhere in the
Yeah.
workplace, if I start singing here in the library, they will kick me out and
I know, I
don't
know,
let
I
me in.
know. No, but I mean, if you're just driving
Yeah.
from A to B in your car by
Yeah.
yourself, then you can sing out
Yes.
loud. But you can do it in the mind also. It's a little bit more difficult to do chanting in your mind because you have to control your mind even more to be able to do it silently. It sort of helps to overpower the mind if you chant out loud because then you're forcing it in through your ears as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, for those that are practiced to do it and they can do it in their mind, then that's fine. The benefit of doing out loud, which you don't get from doing it in your mind, is that it benefits the other living entities.
Oh
So if you do
yes,
it out
whoever
loud, like
listening there.
if you're walking in the forest or something, then the trees and the plants and the insects and birds are also getting benefit from your loud chanting. So there is more benefit for loud chanting than silent chanting because you're actually benefiting other living entities too. But still, it's perfectly fine to chant. And it's said that Haridas Thakur, he chanted 100 and
67.
what's 64 times 3? 192, I think. Yeah, so 192 rounds a day. So 64 he would chant in his mind. 64 he would chant softly and 64 he would chant loudly like that. So you can do any in your mind softly so only you can hear or loudly so others can hear. So any option is good. But the idea, like Prabhupada's mentioning in the beginning, everyone can mold their life in such a way that will never forget Krishna at any circumstance. So, what are things that we do every day? Everyone works, right? So you just
Yes.
work for Krishna. Everyone eats. So just connect your eating with Krishna. And that was the previous verse, how to connect your eating with Krishna. Everyone talks. So just talk about Krishna. Either you're chanting Hare Krishna, because the tongue does two things, right? Tongue is eating and talking. So if you can connect your eating to Krishna and you're talking with Krishna, then your whole tongue is sorted out. Everything's connected with Krishna. So, and everyone gives stuff away. So like I said, just give it to Krishna rather than just the Salvation Army or the, old you know, hospital or something like that. Give to Krishna. People give charity, money. They give money away too. So give the money to Krishna. That's what Prabhupada's saying here. Give it for the Krishna conscious movement. Whatever money Prabhupada would get, do you know how he spent the money? Prabhupada was receiving millions of dollars from all the disciples around the world who were collecting money through distributing books and making life members and so many things. How would he use the money? Do you know?
Establishing the temples.
Yep, 50% was for temples.
And, and the books and
Yep, and the other 50% was to print books. So whatever money came in, he used 50% to print books and 50% to build temples like Vrindavan, Mayapur, and
Juhu and
Juhu, like that. So that's how those temples came up. So all that money that came in, 50% was for the temples, 50% to print books. So yeah, give it to Krishna. Give it to Krishna. Prabhupada criticized that, like traditionally, Indians some of them would take sannyas, but he criticized that many of them, they took sannyas, so at that point they're not supposed to keep any money or anything. So they gave all that money to their family, but Prabhupada said the sannyasi should have given that money to Krishna, not just given it to the family like that.
So one question.
So we have that nature to give, but we're just giving to the wrong to the wrong place. We've got to learn to do the same things, giving and offering, but give something to Krishna, offer something to Krishna. Rather, we offer it to our girlfriend, but we don't offer anything to Krishna. That's not good. So first thing is I'm not saying we can't offer stuff to anyone else, give anything to anyone else, but first person to give it to is Krishna. It's like food, right? It's not that we don't give food to anybody. No, we do, but we give it to Krishna first. We give it to Krishna first, then we give it to everyone else like that. So yeah, you can give things to other people, but the first person to give it to Krishna. Don't ignore Krishna. Not that
But there is
we,
a there is a difference. Like, food plate you put in front of the deity, and
yeah,
after that remnant you can eat or give it to the prasadam. But
yeah.
money is not like that. If I gave $1 million to Bhakti tree, I wouldn't get back.
Um, no, but people will still get the benefits from that. Like if you use that money to build a nice temple, then you can invite all the people to come, and then they can come. They maybe even they can stay in the temple. You can even accommodate the people. You can accommodate them. I mean, like when people turned up with an interest to be Krishna conscious, Prabhupada completely took care of all their needs. He provided a place for them to stay. He gave them clothing. He gave them food. If they were sick, he'd pay for their medical expenses. I mean, all that was, so all that's coming back for our benefit. So if you do give it for Krishna, it's not that you won't benefit. You'll get more benefit, much more benefit. So you never lose. And that's the pastime comes up in Krishna book where baby Krishna, he had seen his parents barter grains for different things they wanted. So baby Krishna took a pile of grains in his hands and he wanted to get some fruit. There was a fruit seller outside, a basket of fruits. So, but because he was acting as a baby, most of the grains fell through his fingertips. So by the time he got to the lady selling the fruits, his hands were empty. So, but she was so enamored by how cute and beautiful Krishna was in his baby form that she just loaded up his hands with fruits. And he very happily went away with his fruits. And materially speaking, she's a loser, right? But then she looked at her basket, which she'd emptied out to pile up his hands, and it was full of jewels, full of diamonds and rubies and emeralds and chintamani and things that we don't even know about here. So that's the point, that if you give to Krishna, you're never going to be a loser. You're always going to get more.
And also, if you don't get it immediately, you'll get at some
Yeah, I mean, you might not get it back, 5 seconds later, but you definitely will come back like that more. Even karmically, right? If you give money to a brahmana, it's going to come back to you double in your next life. If you give back, that's just a brahmana by birth, not necessarily even a good brahmana. And then if you give it to a Paka Brahmana that's actually knows the scripture and that, it comes back like 100 times in your next life. And if you give it to a devotee like Prabhupada, a pure devotee, that money comes back
That's
unlimitedly.
that's a jackpot if you give it to
Unlimitedly in your next life.
Yeah.
You'll be like
Nah, I
the
reckon
Birla
this life.
family
I
or
reckon
Bill
this
Gates in
life.
your next life.
You
You know,
maybe get
it's
this
like,
life, get back, even this life.
yeah, yeah. So
Well,
you're never going to lose.
I remember I was reading about this about 6 months ago, and I was thinking, oh, that's funny. Like, I don't think I've ever gotten anything back. And, I was just thinking this to myself. And then, no joke, 5 minutes later, Joe Radica rings me and says, "Oh, well, somebody's just donated the Chaitanya Charamrita set to you." Like within 5 minutes of having this thought,
Wow.
and I just went,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's too much. That's just
Yes.
crazy."
Yeah, what's the chances of that, huh?
Yeah, what's the chances of that ever happening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if that's not
Careful what
Krishna
you
telling
ask.
you I'm here, Bhaktimala.
Yeah, I know.
Try
I
and
was
try.
blown away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
really
so
was.
these kind of things happen to increase our faith. That Krishna is reciprocating. Krishna is there to reciprocate with us. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's so nice.
Bhaktimala still in hospital.
Yeah, she said she's getting out soon.
Okay.
Yeah, in another week or so. Johnny, you were going to say something earlier. Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, I remember, but I think I answered my own question.
Oh, it's already answered.
Because you were talking about donations coming to Prabhupada.
Hmm.
Those donations, 50% for temple building and 50%.
No, not to Prabhupada. They were coming into the movement.
So if that's the
Through,
case,
you know, 5,000 disciples going out on books and making life
okay,
members.
so each center would be making their money.
Yeah.
But then if 50% goes to build other temples and 50% to BBT, I
Yeah.
mean, for printing books, then how do they take care of their daily needs? Like, for instance, the bhoga preparation, the temple maintenance, all that kind of stuff also. So is this after all that is taken out, or
I'm not exactly sure, but
it's probably after it's taken out? Otherwise, how it's going to work?
well, yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, in many cases also, the devotees were just so much depending on Krishna to provide for them every day. The way that Prabhupada had the temple set up is you don't keep anything for tomorrow. He said, whatever people donate for you today in terms of fruit or veggies or grains or whatever like that, you just distribute it. You just distribute it. So it could be like that, you know, like people coming to the temple, they're bringing rice and dal and vegetables or whatever, and that's not money. So that you just cook it up and just distribute it all. But whatever money is being given, then you 50% of that for temple construction,
I'm
50%.
not getting it. But that existing temple itself may have some maintenance issues,
Yeah.
something, and what happens then? Yeah.
But that's part of 50% for temples. I don't know. I don't know. Prabhupada's a mastermind.
Anyway, it's not a
Prabhupada's
big
a
issue to
mastermind.
talk about. Yeah.
Yeah, Prabhupada's a mastermind, but it was all getting used for Krishna's service one way or another.
Definitely,
It was
definitely.
all being used, whatever money. Prabhupada told the book distributors, whatever money you're getting from these people distributing books, don't use 1 cent for your sense gratification. You know,
Yes.
use it all for Krishna. Because there's a lot of bad karma in money. You understand that? There's a lot of bad karma. You know, a lot of that money, where does it come from? It's been through casinos, been through brothels, been through McDonald's, been through what's the other one? Casinos and all that kind of stuff.
A race course.
Race
The
courses
horse.
and all
Yeah.
kind of things, you know. And so yeah, it's bad karma there, enough to sink a battleship. So enough to sink the Titanic. So yeah, if we use it for Krishna, then it's going to neutralize all that bad karma. And those people will actually get the benefit. People will actually get the benefit when it gets used for Krishna. But yeah, we have to be careful to use everything properly in Krishna's service. Everything's Krishna's energy. It belongs to him. So we should use it for Krishna. Like Prabhupada said, if you use Krishna's energy um, for your own sense gratification, not for Krishna, then we're actually thieves. We're thieves, you know, like that. But then people say, well, but I have to maintain my body or whatever like that. But that's not really what I'm saying, use it for sense gratification, because your body is also being used for Krishna's service. Your body's being used for Krishna's service. So for you to pay the rent and get food for your body and everything like that, look after the health of the body and everything, that's not what I mean by sense gratification. What I mean by not use it for sense gratification means, you know, you don't use it for the casino, for the brothel, for the McDonald's and, you know, all that kind of, you know, sinful, unnecessary sense gratification. So I would distinguish, there's necessary sense gratification and unnecessary sense gratification. So all the money can be used for necessary sense gratification because the body's made up of senses, you know, the nose and the mouth and the ears and the eyes and arms and legs, everything. These are senses. So they need a certain amount of gratification. You need some gratification for the senses, otherwise you're dead. If you don't eat enough or whatever, then you're going to die. If you don't sleep enough, you're going to die. So then how are you going to do service? So you have to keep the body and soul, you know, together. You have to maintain the body so the body and soul can stay together. So to use enough to keep healthy and fit for your service, there's nothing wrong with that. And then, but for artificial things that are not necessary, that, we should give that up. And so we should use, keep enough what we need, and then the rest we can, use that to spread Krishna consciousness. And if we use those things to spread Krishna consciousness, then Krishna will be pleased. And if Krishna's pleased, then we're going to be happy. So it's going to come back to us, like getting back to what you were saying. If you give, that's going to come back to us. If Krishna's pleased by us spreading Krishna consciousness, then we're going to get everything that we require, everything that we require. I mean, that's my main focus, is spreading Krishna consciousness. And yeah, somehow or other, everything gets taken care of. Somehow everything gets taken care of. So I've got personal experience of that, how everything gets taken care of. When we first came to New Gokula, there was so little money in the temple, it's not funny. And Jayanti was in charge of the accounts, and she was just, as the bill came in, we didn't know how it was going to be paid. There wasn't enough money, and then suddenly, as the money was needed when the cutoff date was, then somehow the money would just miraculously appear. So, isn't it? As it was required, then it would just come. So like that, our life is just like that. Just as you need it, it's there. But before you need it, nothing's there. Nothing's there before you need it. But when you need it, I heard Prabhupada say it the other week, and it really blew my mind. I never really thought about it before. What he said was, before the child is born, there's no milk in the mother's breast, right? It's not needed. But as soon as that child appears, it's full of milk. How the hell did that happen? I never thought about that before. When it's not required, there's nothing there. But when the milk is needed, the milk's there. Where did the milk come from? It's amazing, isn't it? Krishna's just in nature. If you look in nature, everything just happens just at the right time, just when it's needed, not before, not after, just the right amount, what that kid needs to drink is just there, and just for today, and not for tomorrow either. Just there's enough milk for that child to have right now, and then tomorrow when the kid needs more, then more comes. It's amazing, isn't it? It's just completely far out if you think about it. But human beings, we've sort of lost that connection with God, and we're afraid that, but how am I going to live tomorrow? What am I going to have? So, but it's all there. But we just don't know. We don't know that Krishna's already got some arrangement for us, as every day goes by, enough, and he's providing like the cubic meter of food for the elephant in the African desert, and then, the grain of sugar for the ants. Oh my God, I had about 10 million ants living in our new cabin that we built. So Krishna must be providing, like 10 million grains of sugar or some kind of food. And then, God, so many ants. Oh my God, it was just ridiculous how many ants were there. But food is there for them. Where does it come from? Krishna's maintaining, Krishna's providing for all the living entities. That's amazing. It was far out the way
I've
you said
never
it.
thought about it like that either.
Yeah, I didn't either when Prabhupada said that. Before the child is born, there's no milk. And then as soon as the child is born, there's milk. How does that happen? It's just a miracle. Krishna's endless miracles. He's the master of all mystic powers. Krishna's known as Yogeshvara. Yogeshvara. He's the master of all mystics. So yeah, it's just magic. If you think about it, this whole universe is just full of magic things. Even like you got a massive gum tree, right? Where does that come from? A tiny seed. You can't even see it unless you put your reading glasses on. It's just the tiny seed. And what do you mean that 50-meter high bloody gum tree came out of a seed like a millimeter? That's incredible. And not only that tree came out of that tiny seed, but each tree has thousands and thousands of seeds. So all of that was stored up inside that one seed.
And the same thing, like if I give you a 10 kilo of grass, you can't even get one drop of milk out of that. You give it a 10 kilo grass to the cow, you get
Yeah.
milk.
Yeah.
There's no factory in the world. You put 10 kilo grass, you can get milk out.
Yeah.
How good is
It's
that?
like that. Krishna's amazing. Wonderful Krishna. So like that, we should always be, like he's saying here, arrange our life in such a way that we can always think of Krishna. So arrange your working, arrange your cooking, arrange your eating, arrange your giving things away, everything to help you remember Krishna. Arrange your talking. So don't just talk about sports and the weather and stuff, but talk about
Mundane
Krishna.
stuff.
So just mold your life in such a way that this is the essence. I'll tell you the essence of all the Vedas. Do you know what the essence of all the Vedas is? Always remember Krishna
This is
and
what he was saying
never
earlier.
forget Krishna.
You were saying this a bit before, Gushan.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
This
Smartavya sadatam vishnor vismartavyo najata chit sava vidi nasadasyor etayor eva kinkara. So what that means is always remember Vishnu or Krishna and never forget Vishnu or Krishna. And all the rules and regulations of the scriptures are servants of these two principles. So every other rule is subordinate or a servant of the main two rules. What are the main two rules? Always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. And all the other rules are meant to help those two rules. Like, why do we bow down? To help us remember Krishna and not forget Krishna. Why do you chant Hare Krishna? To help you remember Krishna, not forget Krishna. Why do you offer your food to Krishna? Help you remember Krishna and not forget Krishna. Why do you want to associate with devotees? To help you remember Krishna and not forget Krishna. Why do you put tilak on? Why do you have neck beads on? Help you remember Krishna, help not forget Krishna. Like that. So everything is meant to help us to bring to that point. And then if you remember Krishna and don't forget Krishna when your body dies, then you're going to go back to Godhead, which is the culmination. So thank you very much. Anyone want to say anything?
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for helping me remember Krishna and not forget Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Have a good week.
Hare Krishna, you too.
Thank you.
You know,